A lot of you probably read that title and went, Paul Pierce? Really? We've seen Paul Pierce become a unique analyst, to say the least.
Paul, riddle me this. Who's the better NBA player?
That's easy. I can say that off the bat. That's me. If you give me Shaq, if you give me LeBron,
they did. Call the big three.
Yeah.
But before this, Pierce was an NBA star and a guy who was a hurdle for LeBron to overcome. They played the same position, the same conference. They've played 69 times against each other. I know one of you just did a 69 joke in their head. And the record is 35-34 in favor of LeBron. Yeah, it was that close. There is no other player that LeBron has played more against, and no other player that LeBron has lost more to. But of course, that's only the surface of this rivalry, because things got heated, and at times, straight up out of pocket, with what was being said by both LeBron and Pierce. Wade said that Pierce is the closest thing to a rival if LeBron even has one. LeBron himself labeled Pierce as his only rival. There's history between the two, so let's dive deep. What is up, dudes, dudettes, ballers, players? It's your boy MJ. All jokes aside, I watched about 4 hours of Paul Pierce highlights for this video, and this man was straight up cooking. Like seriously, his mid-range step back was actually godly. I'm not talking about slow-ass Wizards Paul Pierce. Pierce on the Celtics was a problem. He was the truth. LeBron's been a problem since he came into the league. People forget that he carried this team to the 2007 NBA Finals. Yeah. This story starts in 2003 with some trash talk, so drop a like for how many times Pierce has been wrong. 5,623. I'm on TikTok, released a special one last week, another one today, and we're less than 300 away from 10k. I'm also going to be on Twitch tonight after this video. And to the 3.5 million people that watch my videos that still aren't subscribed, Pierce called game, so please subscribe.
I call game.
Also, hit the notifications to all because the season might be cancelled, alright? LeBron was drafted in 2003 out of high school to the Cavs. Pierce was already a two-time All-Star that has just averaged 26 points for the past 2 seasons on the Celtics. So that meant that LeBron and Pierce would face off against each other a lot. Nothing much happened the first time they ever faced off. LeBron only had 10, Pierce had 19 with the Celtics dub. But that second game on December 13, 2003 was different. As the game is going on and Pierce is starting to get into a groove, he starts trash talking Otis Carter. Now, Otis is the father of Maverick Carter, who's LeBron's best friend. LeBron considers Otis like an uncle, so Pierce and Otis are going back and forth, which definitely rubbed LeBron the wrong way. Pierce committed a hard foul on LeBron, and Otis just starts screaming at Pierce. So yeah, like I said, different. Pierce was staring at Otis every time he scored in the second half, which was a lot since Pierce scored 21 in the second half and 41 for the game. I really wish there was better footage of this game, man. LeBron dropped 37 for the game and they were going at each other, but not defending each other as much, which will change as this rivalry progresses. Apparently, Pierce told Bron to shut up Carter or he'd go for 50. The Celtics would win. Let's just say that this was a great way to start a relationship. The rest of the games that season didn't really have that type of drama or back and forth, but before the start of the 2004-05 season, the Cavs and Celtics played a preseason game in Ohio State. Pierce scores 2 straight buckets on LeBron in the third quarter, including a crossover that got LeBron. Pierce then started talking his smack, not right at LeBron, but that obviously got under Bron's skin. Then James hit a jumper, stole it from Pierce, and dunked it down. Right after a dunk, he stared at Pierce and started talking. Now this clip is cut short, but you can low-key feel LeBron's anger towards Pierce. That escalated and they got in each other's faces. They had to be separated and got technicals. Pierce also spit at the Cavs bench. Frustration, anger, I don't know, right? But he would get fined $15,000 for that. That could have been the end of it, but here's where things really get wild. At the end of the game, both teams are heading back to their locker rooms, but in Ohio State, both locker rooms are next to each other. That's just dumb? And so in the hallway to the locker rooms, LeBron and Pierce start arguing again. It got so heated that Pierce had to be carried away by his teammates. They were so close to actually fighting. Brian Windhorst called it a great what if. Safe to say, Bron and Pierce really did not like each other. So now, the 2004-05 season came along and nothing really happened. Weird. I know. Apparently they called a truce at the All-Star game so that their competitiveness would only stay on the court. LeBron was obviously evolving and maturing, trying to have a good brand image. Pierce wanted to focus up and get a ring, so it made sense, but that meant that they would get in each other's way over and over again. In 2006 was probably their best game in the regular season against each other on February 6th. The Celtics are pretty trash at this point, only 20-31. The Cavs are 30-20 with LeBron leading. Hey look, there's Delonte West on the Celtics. That's gonna be fun for LeBron in a few years.
I got you, fam!
Anyways, this game would become less about the teams and more about LeBron and Pierce going at it. By this point, LeBron and Pierce are guarding each other, and when I say they were cooking each other, they were cooking each other. Bron powered his way through, shooting over Pierce repeatedly. Pierce would break off LeBron many times like this step back. LeBron really couldn't defend Pierce, and Pierce couldn't stop LeBron. The game would end up going into double overtime. Pierce ended the game with 50 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds, while LeBron had 43 points, 11 assists, and 12 rebounds with the win. That is still the only game that someone has scored 50 on LeBron while he was on the Cavs. In fact, Pierce is one of only 2 players that have actually scored 50 plus points against LeBron, the other being Harden in 2018, so yeah, this is special. Pierce scored 17 in that fourth quarter to rally the Celtics back, but it wasn't enough. LeBron and the Cavs would make the finals next year and then get swept. But then, Paul would finally get a squad with Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and the emergence of Rondo. The Celtics were a title contender, and so were the Cavs. Sort of. In 2008, there was the infamous game in which Paul Pierce fouled LeBron hard, and LeBron's mom got out of her seat to yell at Pierce. Then LeBron told his mom to sit her ass down. You think this wasn't serious? Think again. It was so bad that Bron's mother was in a fit in a regular season game, and we haven't seen her like that ever. The Cavs and the Celtics would meet in the second round. With all the pieces the Celtics had, it wasn't just the Pierce show anymore. In fact, in that series, Kevin Garnett averaged 0.2 more points per game than Pierce, and no one except LeBron averaged over 20. The series was a grinded out affair and went the distance to 7 games. Only once had a team scored above 100 points. Yeah, it was like that. Pierce took on the defensive assignment of LeBron with less of an offensive burn, and LeBron only shot 36% from the field that series. Pierce played some pretty amazing defense, but it all came down to Game 7, possibly the best Game 7 duel in NBA history. It was just 2 guys going at each other. LeBron making jumpers, tough fadeaways over defenders, driving to the rim. Pierce was shifty, hunting for spots on the court, making those mid-range shots. Pierce was commanding the pick and roll, and when I saw him split the defense, I didn't even believe my eyes. My man Paul Pierce was doing this? LeBron was doing everything he could, but the Cavs were still behind. Pierce had 26 in the first half, Bron had 23. The game kept going with the Cavs inching away at the lead. It was just big shot after big shot from both players, and now it's the fourth quarter, a 1-point game. LeBron tries to make something happen and doesn't. Eventually, Pierce is fouled and shoots possibly the luckiest free throw I've ever seen. The Celtics win, and LeBron ends the game with 45. Pierce had 41. The main difference was that Pierce had the better squad. Garnett was the defensive player of the year. The odds just weren't in LeBron's favor. But this duel between the two was the most points put up by 2 players in a Game 7 ever. Honestly, this video is becoming such a dub for Paul Pierce. I didn't even expect for that to happen, but here you go. And then we have the infamous 2010 series. Yes, once again, the Cavs and Celtics were matched up. The Cavs were coming off a 61-win season and the #1 record in the East. This was slated to be another classic. LeBron and Shaq take on the Big Three and Rondo. Just the good old LeBron and Shaq duo. You know, the times when LeBron and Shaq would tear up the league. Alright, Shaq was on life support at this point in his career, but we're just gonna roll with it. In this series, Paul Pierce only averaged 13.5 points. Rondo actually averaged the most points for the Celtics, and the reason for it? Pierce was given a different mission: bother LeBron as much as possible. After the series, Pierce said that defending LeBron tired him so much that he couldn't do anything else much offensively. He was 32 years old at the time, but that's how much defending LeBron took it out of him. The series would last 6 games. If you look at LeBron for the whole series, he averaged 26.8 points, 9.3 rebounds, and 7.2 assists on 45% from the field. Looks great until you look at the last 3 games in which he averaged 21.3 points on 34% from the field and lost all 3 games, including a 32-point loss in Game 5. This was the series that LeBron supposedly quit on his team. Dan Gilbert said that Bron quit games 2, 4, 5, 6, all the losses. LeBron's body language would be analyzed. People said he was disengaged, others came to his defense. All we know is that LeBron left right after the series and joined the Miami Heat. And so now with a new Big Three and with LeBron beginning to enter his prime years, the Celtics Big Three were also getting older. By the time the Heat and Celtics would meet in the 2011 playoffs, Pierce was 33, Garnett was 34, Allen was 35. In that series, Wade actually averaged more points at 30.2 versus LeBron's 28. But this series was a completely one-sided affair. LeBron finally got his revenge and would make the finals, only to choke to Jason Terry. That actually would set the stage for 2012 when the Heat and Celtics would face off again. This time, the series wasn't so one-sided. 2012 was an experience, maybe the most competitive series between LeBron and the Celtics to date. It would be a back and forth affair. The Heat would win the first 2 at home despite Rondo getting 44, 10, and 8 in Game 2. LeBron was solid, kinda getting what he wanted offensively. He wasn't in his passing mode, he was just using his physical advantage and bullying Pierce. This might have been LeBron's best year of his career, and Paul Pierce ain't gonna cut it.
Oh, come on, man.
But as the series switched over to Boston, everything would change. Wade just wouldn't perform the same way he was at home, and Pierce would step up, scoring 23 points in each of those games. And the Celtics winning Game 4 by just 2 points, an OT win in which Wade and not LeBron took the last shot. The Celtics tied the series at 2-2, and the series goes back to Miami. The game is neck and neck, and in the last moments, Pierce hits a dagger 3 over LeBron and yells, "I'm cold-blooded, I'm cold-blooded." Yeah, Pierce really did that at 34 years old. The Celtics go up 3-2, and it felt like LeBron was going to lose out again, even after making this speech.
Championships, not 1, championships.
Not 2.
LeBron, tell us about that.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
Going back to Boston, it really felt like LeBron's legacy was on the line. And then we got this LeBron. Bron was on a mission. He wasn't gonna give the ball to anyone. He legit went full Kobe mode. He was post fadeaway cheesing, bulldozing through the defense. There was just no stopping him. Like Bron was just doing some madness. LeBron ended the game with 45 points on 73% from the field, constantly keeping the Celtics away. The Heat won Game 6, took the air out of the Celtics push, and the Heat would win Game 7. Another classic, Bron and Pierce series filled with amazing performances, clutch shots, and trash talk. Not only that, but LeBron had saved his legacy. Remember that LeBron was the villain of the NBA. Yeah, the Celtics had a Big Three, but the Miami Heat had done that on a whole new level. It's hard to imagine what would have happened if he lost that Celtics team and wasn't able to bring the Heat a championship. In 2013, when asked about who's his biggest rival, LeBron said this: "I would say that I don't really have an individual rivalry. I think the closest would be Paul Pierce. I would say Boston is a rival of mine because I've met them so many times in the postseason. I've been able to advance against them, they sent me home fishing a few times, so I would say Boston and Paul Pierce would kind of be that guy, if I had to just name one guy. He also added that to be a rival, they had to play a few times in the playoffs, and Pierce meets that criteria. Since then, LeBron has never called anyone else his rival. Heck, he refused to call the Warriors and Cavs a rivalry. Ray Allen left for the Heat, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett would get traded to the Nets for all these picks, the Celtics robbed the Nets, and the Celtics really ended in 2012. The Nets had a quote-unquote super team with Darren Williams, 36-year-old Paul Pierce, 37-year-old Kevin Garnett, and Joe Johnson. Surprisingly, the Nets and Heat had amazing games. 3 of their 4 games were decided by 1 point, all 4 games won by the Nets. Yeah, in the regular season, it was that close. No game winners, but the Heat and Nets would meet in the playoffs. Unfortunately, nothing serious. The series would end in the Game 5 on Paul Pierce losing the ball with a chance to hit a game winner on a blatant LeBron foul. The Nets get eliminated in 2014 and the Heat win the championship again. That was the last meaningful game between the two. There were some really down years for Pierce where he was barely getting playing time. Old man Pierce. Then Pierce retired in 2017, and in Game 7 of the 2018 Eastern Conference Finals, he trashed LeBron before the 4th quarter. Not sure what was said, but at the end of the game, as the Cavs pulled away, LeBron yelled at Pierce. I guess the rivalry never really ended. Even when Paul got on TV and became an analyst, Pierce specifically said that LeBron's biggest rival was himself, and said this.
Bees, why would you ask me a silly question? It's me, of course. No one has had more playoff battles and more meaningful games than me and LeBron. So how could it be nobody but me? Why do you think he moved to Miami, Beads?
Without question.
You moved him there, Paul?
I don't know why you're yelling at me.
Paul, you moved
I sent the U-Haul. Come on now, I sent the U-Haul down there.
Set one.
Yeah, Pierce said that Bron moved to Miami because of him and the Celtics, and he's not totally wrong. The Celtics were a roadblock that Bron had to overcome, and he only did that when he went to the Heat. Pierce is 3-2 in playoff series against James. Now, Paul Pierce has even admitted that it's hard to let go of this rivalry with LeBron, and I can see why. For 14 years, they faced off against each other in some of their biggest games of their career. Pierce's career high, 50, the best Game 7 duel ever, LeBron's historic Game 6. They did not really like each other, but they did have respect for each other. When I first started to look into this rivalry, I didn't even realize how deep this went. 69 games later, and Paul Pierce might be right. He is LeBron's biggest rival. But what do you think? Who is LeBron's biggest rival? What was LeBron's best game of all time? Drop a like for all the classic moments we are missing right now because the season's not here and I need help, please. On TikTok, trying to get through the No NBA, and on Twitch, also trying to get through No NBA. And if you're still here, you a real one, so comment truth so I know. The Instagram shout of the day goes to Irfan, and the all-day notification shout goes to my boy, Armand, who you've seen in some streams and some of my earliest videos. Thanks for the all-day support. Make sure to hit the bell for all notifications, and if you're not a sub, hit the subscribe button, join the all-day community for more fire content, all-day support. It's your boy MJ. We out.
Okay, just hop in my spaceship now. Okay, just hop in my spaceship now.